Much indeed for that update. I was going to say clarification, but maybe that's not quite the right word. I'm joined now by Israel's ambassador to the UK, Daniel Taub. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
Can you shed any light on what's happening?
Unfortunately, as we're speaking, the missiles, the rockets continue to fire, and because Hamas is not acting to stop them, that's what we're doing at this moment. We very much want that to stop. As you know, there was an Egyptian proposal for a ceasefire. It was supported by the United Nations. It was supported by the Arab League. We accepted that. We didn't just accept it, but we acted on it. We had 6 hours in which we actually refrained from firing, from defending ourselves. And during that period, some 50 rockets were fired by Hamas, creating a situation where we have no choice. You know, if Hamas is not going to stop the missiles, then unfortunately we're going to have to do it ourselves.
Okay. Although you're not, are you? I mean, you know, there have been 9 days of kind of quite intense military action. Over 200 people have lost their lives. And it still seems that Hamas are able to fire their rockets with impunity.
That's true. We're talking about a long and complicated offensive. That's absolutely right. But you have to bear in mind that's an offensive that comes after 2 years in which there have been rockets that have been fired. 3 million of our civilians have had to live within reach of bomb shelters. Now, when that happens, you have to try and take some sort of response. Doing nothing is not an option. We've managed to take out something like 3,000 of the rockets and missiles in Hamas's hands. We've managed to take out 800 weapons launchers. We've managed to attack something like 220 of the tunnels that they use for smuggling and attacking. And every single one of those means that Hamas has less offensive weapons at its disposal.
And it also means the corollary, a natural corollary of this is that Hamas is in hiding. Because if they're going to put their heads above the parapet, the chances are they're going to get shot off. Doesn't that make negotiation over a ceasefire virtually impossible when the leadership is scattered to the four winds and, you know, don't know who to deal with?
If Hamas wanted to negotiate a ceasefire, they could have taken advantage of the humanitarian window, even during the humanitarian window today, which was a period of several hours where, again, we stopped any offensive action to allow people to leave their houses in safety, allow them to get medical supplies, allow them to get food. Even during that period, Hamas continued firing missiles. If Hamas wanted to actually engage in peaceful negotiations to de-escalate, there would be no problem for doing that. Unfortunately, every time that there is an initiative, every time that we seem to be forthcoming, every time, right from the outset when we said quiet would be met with quiet, what we see on the other side of the equation is an escalation.
We're hearing now from our team in Gaza that a Palestinian has been killed, 7 others injured in renewed raids on the Gaza Strip. We saw, I think it was yesterday, 4 children having been killed as they played on the beach from a family of fishermen. Now, Israel, I know, says we are only targeting military targets and we're doing everything we can. But there are civilian casualties. How do 4 kids playing on a beach end up getting killed by some, you know, torpedo boat offshore?
It's a tragedy and it's heartbreaking, but when you think of a situation where Hamas has 12,000 missiles actually in the Gaza Strip, has a network of tunnels and terrorists that are deliberately placed in the basement. We just discovered today, and you'll know that the UN has apologized for this, for 20 rockets that were actually located within an UNRWA school, within a UN school. When you have that situation, you have to be extraordinarily careful. But not responding is not an option. We cannot afford a situation where we or anyone is broadcasting to the world that if you're a terrorist organization, set up shop in a school or a kindergarten and you'll be left alone. So we have to take extraordinary careful efforts, but unfortunately there are tragic instances. And as in this case, we have to investigate and find out if we were responsible, how we can do better.
Has Israel used disproportionate force?
Absolutely not. I mean,
200 plus dead on the Palestinian side, 1 Israeli death.
I mean, proportionality is not a question of tit for tat. Do you think, John, if more people had been killed on our side, that would have made it okay? Should we stop our sirens? Should we stop the people going down into our bunkers? Proportionality is measured in relation to the threat that you are facing. The threat that we are facing here is 12...
But with Iron Dome, you're not facing that much of a threat.
That's absolutely not the case. The fact is Iron Dome, which has managed to take down something in the region of 10% of the rockets that have been fired on us, and it's not a fail-safe mechanism, and you have to bear in mind that this is coming in an environment where 5 million people, way over half the population of Israel, is having to live their lives within reach of bomb shelters. To say carry on living like this while a terrorist organization continues to shoot is not something that any country in the world would put up with.
Let us just kind of try to kind of look forward, if we might.
Please.
What do you think the prospects are for getting a peace agreement? I mean, an Israeli spokesman came out earlier on today and said, yeah, there is going to be a peace deal from tomorrow morning. I mean, presumably you must be, and I know there are back channels through which there are communications. There must be. What is going on? Do you think we are close to getting any kind of ceasefire?
I think we're close to the potential of stopping the rockets. There is nothing that we would like more. The fact is, I think we've shown from the beginning, when we tried to de-escalate this round of violence, we've shown it yesterday when we accepted, as I say, the UN Arab League proposal. We've shown it today with a humanitarian window. But at the end of the day, there has to be a decision by Hamas to stop the firing of the rockets. As I said before, if Hamas doesn't stop them, we're going to do what any country would do and stop them ourselves.
Ambassador, thank you very much indeed for being with us, and good to have you on the show. Just to say that in about an hour's time I'll be getting the view of a senior Hamas spokesman as well. Now, let us move on to some other news.